Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And I want to welcome you to my channel. Today, I have with me Con Knight, who is an intuitive development, runs intuitive development courses and does healing meditation work. And we're going to be, the subject matter today is called The Work, and it's focusing on the concept of healing in relationship to human well-being and goodness. Hello, Con. How are you doing today?
I am doing phenomenal. Another beautiful day.
It sure is. It sure is. Tell me, what got you into the whole process of healing? Like what drove you to really get into the healing arts?
Really, it's been happening well over a decade as my body had developed degenerative disc disease and MS. And during that time, as the body was shutting down, I was constantly looking for different resources and sources to heal the body. And this naturally led me, after exhausting all my resources on the physical side of doing things like acupuncture and the traditional medical route and allopathic methods, and then going through Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese and Western medicine, Eastern medicine. Like, I've done so much on that. I figured the body was perfect. I eventually got into meditation and spiritualness through my martial arts, which led me to where I am today.
And where are you now? Like so those things led you into it, and the degenerative disc disease has got you really inspired in making transformative changes. So that's been the driving force, is to actually know that you can actually heal your body. Is that correct?
I've always had a knowing, regardless of what any doctor has said to me or any information I've come across that's told me that these are incurable diseases. I said, no, there is definitely a way. And that was just something very deep in my core, very deep in my belief system. So no matter what authoritative figure had told me that I would always be this way or get even worse or have a debilitating life, I just pushed that aside, because I just would not accept that, because I believed it and felt it deep in my core.
What has been the change for you since you made that decision, since you made the decision to believe one versus accepting something contrary to that? How's that made a difference in your life?
That has, I've could have taken two different ways. I've looked at my mother, who had cancer multiple times in her life. And as her process, when she died, she focused on the negative. It was always, we have a curse on the family, or this is happening to me. And I saw how that affected her, just being in a certain mood. Now, my mom is a very happy, joyful person, but she would hang on to these debilitating emotional moments that would bring her down. So seeing that was almost maybe my inspiration, because I just didn't believe it. It's like, Mom, it's not the way to be. Like, think about the happy. Now, may have been because of my naivety as a youngster, because you're pretty free and open as a youngster, and as you get older, life's moments harden you. But luckily, I have become hardened. At the same time, I've also been very light. So keeping that lightheartedness, that light-mindedness, being happy, laughing, joking, being a troublemaker, that was really, I think, the moments in me, and surrounding myself with those people as well. Not surrounding myself with negativity and doom and gloom, and not focusing on it. Because I found when I did that, I would begin to spiral, and I would get caught up in all the negativity and the garbage that went along with it. It's like, and I noticed the feelings back then. And it's not until now that I realized that I am a high level empath. I feel everything. But back then, as a young male, when you're told to suck it up, walk it off, you do all the traditional things I'd be a martial artist. I taught how to do motorcycling. I did all the tough things that I could do to show that I was a man. But in the end, once I kind of conquered that, I realized that, oh, there's more to this as well. I can be a loving person as well. So this is, I guess, it's become full circle to me. And that's the one thing I like about getting older, because you let go of all the garbage of trying to be perfect on the outside, and now we get to look on the inside.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned something about your mom, about debilitating emotional moments. How did you see them affecting her, and how have you had any of those moments that have affected you? And how would you describe debilitating emotional moments to people?
Well, I would have to say is, as a martial artist, I would go from doing these jumping, spinning roundhouse kicks to then not being able to walk upstairs properly. So that was very hard on my ego. When it happened with my mother, she did not have an ego at all. But as she focused on the negativity of the cancer or something that, or a life moment that would happen, I could see how she just held on to that moment. So when you try to change the conversation or say something else, it would always be brought back to that negativity again, or that spiraling moment. Now,
Right.
I am probably glorifying this because she, like I said, she was a very happy person, a very loving person. And I was so lucky to be in the family that I grew up in. But I definitely was the black sheep of my family as well. So here I am, the joyful, happy-go-lucky guy, but there's all this negativity as well. So I could see how it would get her into a funk and how it would affect her healing or her body, how she wouldn't be able to move or walk because of this. Now, they're all very legitimate. It's not like that she was faking this, but you can see that the emotions made it exasperated. It made it even worse what it was.
Mhm. So in your case, the contrast between being highly active in martial arts and then being physically inactive because of the degenerative condition in the discs, was it the contrast of self between that and the self that was highly active, that emotion? What emotion did it trigger for you? Like, what was the emotion that was triggered for you that supported the condition of decline as opposed to the condition of growth?
Initially, it was the ego. So as I couldn't do the same things as before, my ego was trying to protect me. And my ego, where I was this very strong, virile male, to not being able to protect my wife, protect my family. That's the feeling that you have, even though I'm very capable, but that would be the feeling. And then once I developed drop foot, so on my left side, it's mainly the conditions on the left side. So there's a condition where it's called drop foot, and the foot just kind of drops. So you don't necessarily have a heel toe motion when you walk, it drags. So once that happened, maybe about 3 years ago, and this is when it really got worse, you start really spiraling. I can't walk now. I can't do this now. And then I had a chairlift. I live in a 3-story townhome, and we have a couple of chairlifts I had to put in, and I rented them at first with the idea that I am going to heal myself. At the same time, having the chairlift put in, you didn't want to talk about it. You don't want to go down, especially if my wife had clients downstairs. She's a holistic nutritionist and traditional Chinese acupuncturist. If she had clients downstairs and they were friends and I knew them, I wouldn't pass by. There was no way in anything that I was going to get on that chair. And when you start it up, it's got this high pitched beep. So it alerts everyone around you like, hey, somebody's coming. And then I'm going down, you got this me, and you're just slowly going down this chair. So you can't help but, what in the world is that? And you look at it, and it, sure enough, there I am. So I would avoid any type of walking in front of people, going down the chair, any type of position that would show my debilitation. But after a while, now when I use this chair, it's great. We move things on it and we'll use the remote. And when I'm going down it, I say, oh, I feel like a prince on this thing. I'm royalty going down this. So I've changed the thought process in there and I'm loving it now.
How has the changes in your thought process affected your body? Like, I know you do a lot of meditation. You run these these healing meditation groups and the intuitive development courses. What inspired you to get those courses developed and going, and how have they impacted you? How has teaching them and working with others in this impacted your health?
That is all following my instinct. Once I began getting into meditation and once I began mediumship in the study of that, and really I look at the science behind it. For me, it actually started with Dr. Joe Dispenza on the science side. And I'm a big believer in my analytical mind is very scientific. So I looked at the science there. I liked how he brought everything that I always believed in the world. He brought it back to the science of it and has begun to have the proof behind it. Once I used those exercises, one of his early exercises to look at your emotions. And that was that early stage. From there, as I looked at my emotions, my intuition began to open up and I began to actually look at the signs around me and I would begin to follow them. So where I am today with all these groups is really just letting go of what I'm thinking, my analytical mind, and just listening to everything that's happening around me. And by doing that, I sold my business. Now I have no income at all, but I feel great and I'm not worried about it. I know it all works out. After the business is sold, I'm now just immersing myself in mediumship and I'm hearing the messages and I'm just following the signs that I'm hearing. I'm hearing this. I'm getting a clue. Something coming. Oh, well, there's an idea. Well, when I get that idea in my mind, to me, it's either being placed into me, it's being shared with me, but it's worth it for me to look into it. It's like, well, there's something I haven't explored yet. So I'm very much about looking at all sides of everything. So let me explore it. I'm not going to turn my nose down to it. Maybe it's right, maybe it's good, but let me look into it. So I follow my instinct to look into it and I experience it, and I'll do it for 4, 5, 6 months to give it a try. And I did that with every modality that I went through, the physical modality, the energetic modalities, and even this. It's just listening and following. And my heart just resonates with this, because as I do this, it becomes a practice. It's like being taught as a child to turn the light switch off after you leave a room.
Yeah.
It's now part of my habit that, well, oh, let me try that again. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. And as that practice of looking at my emotions and going through and listening to my intuition, it grew. And initially when I was first looking, I always loved studying women. So that was the one thing. My mom had a fashion fabric store. So it was always in fashion. She was always very high fashion. So it also made me look at women. And I always had such a huge appreciation for women on how they looked at the world and how they looked at the bigger picture of things. And I was always drawn to the intuition that women had. So as I would leave for work in the morning, I would leave my garage, and I have a choice that I can make a right or I can make a left. If I make a left, I'm going to be at a lengthier traffic light, but I'm guaranteed to make that turn. If I make a right, I'll get a stop sign. Now, there could be a ton of traffic and I could be there for a very long time, or it's going to be very, very quick and I'll just get by. So it was at that point, I kind of tuned in. I said, well, let me see, should I go left or right? And that's when the practice of looking at my intuition began. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but it was a practice, much like all this is a practice.
So you apply that pretty consistently with regard to your health too, right? Like the transformation of your body and your mind are all based on that intuitive process.
Everything. Now, when I was doing the Dr. Joe work, I would go into these very high moments of elevations and emotions, and they would get you to that point as you're doing the work and you're so excited and feel great. But then as you turned off the video or you walked away, some event would happen or a moment would happen in your life that it would then bring you down. So it was never really sustainable to have that. It wasn't really until I took your courses that led me to there that you taught how to constantly look at this. Now, I still find in between your courses, when you go away, you can have that moment of falling back into that slump or not looking at the emotions. Now, I try my very best at this, but I am working on this, and this is what I'm doing. So I'll create these other groups and I create these online practices and I do the online intuition. I do my weekly lives just to be part of this energy and to keep my energy elevated. It's completely self-serving and I'm love doing it. It raises my elevation. And once I'm done alive, or once I'm doing a group, any type of practice, you feel so good, so alive. The energy is so amazing in you. So you can't help but walk away feeling positive enough to get me through a day or two to the next event.
That's interesting. I know that group synergy can really have a transformative effect on everybody that's involved in that process. How did you find out about our courses, and what have you? What are some of the benefits you've gained from the courses you've taken with us?
How I found you was really again dumb luck. Not dumb luck. It was intuition. It was guided intuition. So I actually saw you, and you were being interviewed on someone else's show, and I've heard your name come up a few times. And who is this guy? Like this William Michael Forbes. I hear about him. And I saw this video and I watched it. Like, nah, doesn't resonate with me. I watched maybe about 15, 20 minutes and I walked away. But then later on, I heard Shariah McCormick who's another very gifted medium. And she was involved in your courses. And she started talking about you. And it was at that point, it was the timing now. So the timing wasn't right for me before, but the timing at that point, it was, oh yeah, I got to do this guy. I listened to about 10 minutes of it and it's like, this is where I got to go to next. I immediately went to your channel and I signed up without even looking at anything, reading anything or doing anything from there. I was just guided and I just felt it was the right way to go. And I can give you an example of this. My wife has been listening to Eckhart Tolle for years. And prior to my awakening, I would listen to her and she'd lie down in bed. We'd be in bed together and she'd be playing this Eckhart Tolle. And there's this long, drawn out fella is talking, and the audio stopped, but he's in a very long pause. And I'd be who is this guy? It was like nails on a chalkboard trying to listen to him. But it took me a few years before it actually resonated with me. So it shows me that there's a timing to this as well. So
Yes.
even though it might not be right for me today, it'll be right for me maybe another time. And this is what happened with you. The time when I first watched your video, it didn't resonate with me at all. But once my body and mind was ready for it, I was like, that was a time to join and sign up. And again, following my intuition is the best thing I've done.
I'm so glad that, and that no wonder you teach that process. You've been doing it for so long. That really being able to listen to our inner soul, that self that says yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad. It knows. There's that part of us that really knows. It sounds like you really tapped into that and flow with it. Because again, you've taken many modalities. I know of Joe's work, and I know of Eckhart Tolle's work, and they're beautiful souls doing great work for a lot of people. And yet we evolve and we do changes. We learn more, acquire more, and then we move on to the next thing, and then we move on to the next thing, or we find something that is really going to work for us. Where do you see yourself in a couple of years from now with all the work that you're doing?
This body will be healed in the next couple of years. And what I'm doing now is documenting my progress to show this is how to do it. And in a couple of years, when the body is perfect, people are going to be knocking. They're going to know how to do it. And I'm going to be sharing my resources and teaching people, this is how you do it. And here's all the documentation.
Now, you came into our courses about, I think that's a great idea, by the way. To document it like that is so important. I know Dr. Joe and a few other guys are taking video testimonies from people and sharing that information. So I think that's a really valuable thing to do. When you started the courses, at what point in the courses did you realize something in this is actually facilitating me and healing myself further? What was that process or moment for you?
Well, I guess what I appreciate about the course is that it's a natural progression. So there's the 101, the 102, and the 103. And I actually started at the 102. So it was a little bit past the starting meditations and the starting work. And by just kind of following that, doing the work, just kind of showing up every day and being a part of it, being part of the collective energy, the group energy, it was just naturally happening that you were feeling this high energy. Like I said, doing this group work, when you walk away, you feel elevated. So as you have that for a 3-week course, and then you have 3 of those in a row. So now I've done 6 weeks with you all in a row. It's just a natural thing that happened, that as you go through the meditations, things happen with you. And because at the end of every meditation, you spend time with pretty much everybody and you draw on their experience and you give a little bit of guidance and coaching. And that is the goal. That is the invaluable part that really makes you look at yourself and see the things that you can't see yourself. So you did show quite a few things to me. So pretty much every time, every course for sure, I would have some sort of moment, and every course for sure, I would have some sort of emotional breakdown or a cry or a release. And that was okay, because you're in a loving environment. It's okay to let yourself go. That's especially important for the male ego, that we've been conditioned the way that we have, that we need to be in a loving place. And I know it sounds very fluffy for people that are just kind of going through this process. Yeah, it is fluffy. But remember, I'm a 6th-degree black belt. I race motorcycles. I was a very, very tough guy. I got into trouble all the time, and I would be put into fights quite a bit. And that was really to show my male, this is me. I am male. I am strong. But once you kind of get past that, there's that line in the movie that, you're not worth the time for me to fight you. I remember having a moment in a parking lot. We were at a health food store, and I was waiting for my wife, and some guy had parked on the line. And I was kind of glaring at him and looking at him. And this is pretty early on for me, but I was glaring at him, and he's making eye contact with me. At some point, he gets out of his car and he starts walking towards me in a, hey, buddy, like what's going on? Now, being a martial artist and being a 6th-degree black belt, I could see every part of his body, how he would move and how he would approach me. And I could tell just exactly what he had. So I had in my mind is that he was gearing up to get into a fight, but he was not worth my time. And I said, like, listen, you don't want to get into this. And I said in my mind, you're not worth my time. And that was my light bulb. Like, oh, you're not worth my time. And this is that famous line that you had in a lot of the 80s movies that was all about fighting and, Rambo and whatnot. So I had that thought in my mind is like, oh, so because I've kind of got myself into a very physical, high, male, strong state. It allowed me to not have to be the tough guy anymore. I don't got to be that person. So I believe that is where I started to look at myself as well. And definitely through my martial arts, one of the moments is actually standing for hours in one place with your eyes open to increase your awareness and to change the body. And that forces, that's kind of like a standing meditation with your eyes open. So that makes you look at yourself. So when you start seeing all these things, these events, all these who you are, it wakes you up.
That's amazing, that process of awakening, because that's ultimately what the goal is here for everybody is waking up. You've noticed, have you noticed visible experiential changes in the work you've been doing with healing and through the courses? Have you noticed any changes visibly?
Yeah, I can say so, because initially when I had this conditioned analyzed, I had the MRI and it showed lesions in my back. When I went and had my next MRI, there's no more lesions in my back. Now, lesions don't disappear, but I do have lesions in the brain now that they had the diagnosis of MS, but the lesions in my back are completely gone. So that's got to tell you something, that there are changes here. In terms of being diagnosed with MS, when the doctors go through their series and say, well, this should be happening to you, that should be happening to you, this should be happening to you, I'm like, no, I don't have those.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that concept that thought and emotion organize conditions in our matter, in the matter of our body. Thought and emotion organize our conditions. Very few people really get that on an overall population spectrum. But I think it's beginning to certainly move through the light worker community now, and the people that are waking up are beginning to understand that, wait a minute, my thoughts and my emotions are literally organizing what my body is being and doing at any given time. And what I'm going to think, what I'm going to feel, is all organized by that. And you certainly come to a deep understanding that from your experiences too.
Yeah, and to be honest, the body itself is showing itself even getting worse, because I can see my left hand curls quite a bit now, and the grip is gone quite a bit. But in my mindset, I'm changing the thinking of that as well. That the body might be showing that, but I just show it love when that happens. But I also say these things are happening because all the energy needs to go there. It needs to pull away and it needs to heal another part of the body first. So that is okay that it's happening. So I don't get caught up in the spiral that, oh my gosh, this is happening, this is getting worse. No. I'm seeing, oh, the body is healing itself, and this is just the feeling that it has. So I'm not being tied up with the worry of this. I'm changing the conversation, which is very much part of what we need to do.
Have you ever experienced like moments in parts of the body that were challenging you, where you altered the emotional energy and that part of the body responded?
All the time. I'm doing that at least every 10 minutes. Sitting in a chair, I'm quite comfortable, but every time I have to get up and stand and take a few steps, it's that old man type of, you do that kind of grunt that might be there. And then I'll try to take a step and it's labored and it's stiff and there's something there. And this just happened in the awareness course, that again, that was my next epiphany. That was that, okay, well, before you get up, change the pattern in your thoughts. So I've been changing the emotions and triggers and patterns that I've had all along, but now do it before I actually get up. So if I'm comfortable right now, before I put my hands on the grips of the armchair here, and before I actually get up, I feel the body. I am strong. My vertebrae is strong. There is life in here. I feel all the discs expanded. The walk that I take are going to be a proper heel toe step. There's going to be a great gait. There is strength in my legs. You can hear it in my voice, and that revitalizes. You can feel the energy. So just as I say, if I've been saying those things, I can feel everything changing my body, getting excited. I can see the molecules getting excited. You can hear it in my voice. Everything is getting excited. And that is almost like a wind up. It's like I'm priming the engine, and just with the emotions, it lifts it up. I also, that happens in
I'm actually totally feeling that. I'm totally feeling that right now. I'm feeling my body responding to what you're saying. And that's pretty cool. That we can actually influence each other that way too. That's really cool.
So I can see that in your face. Your face is lit up right now, and your energy is lit up. So this is really where the continued group practice and coming together and connecting with like-minded people. And it's the only reason why I take your courses. Well, it's not the only reason, because it's part of, you go through a course, you're only going to pick up what you can. Just like the Eckhart Tolle reference I gave, I pick up certain things, but when you take it all again, in some courses that you take, it's very much the same. It's like, I've done this before. I've been there, done that. But when you do a course like this, it is, oh, that's something new came up. Oh, I missed that part. Yeah, there's something new. So having that repetition, and this is really what it's about. It is having the tools and the knowledge, but then repeating it. It's all about repetition. The law of repetition is everything with this. Just constantly doing it. Yeah.
But there's also, as you know, in our courses, we really drop the whole idea of right and wrong in the courses and talk more about the process as being a process of learning and experiencing. We get so caught up in thinking that this is right and this is wrong, and that means I shouldn't do this or I should do this. And when you're in a process of learning, when you can drop that thought that I'm going to do it the right way or the wrong way, when you can drop that and just realize I'm in a process and I'm going to go through an experience, and it's the experience that I do from the process that teaches me, not my judgment about whether or not the process is going to be right or wrong before I do it. So allowing ourselves the freedom to not go in without judgment, as you said in the very beginning, to literally let go of that negative self-judgment or any judgment at all, and allow the process you engage in to take you there, because it will. It will. The process will take you there. It really does. I've watched it. You've watched it in the class. Yeah, a lot of that happens.
That was my longest lesson, learning to let go. My analytical mind and being a businessman and being such a bull, I attack everything, and I would have certain expectations in place. Well, we got to do this, that, this, and that, and that's going to give us this. So when I'm healing the body, I had all these expectations that, I'm reading the Dr. Joe book. He did it in 6 months. I'm going to do it in 6 months. And I'd have that conviction in me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. When it didn't happen, well, why is that? So the hardest lesson and the biggest lesson I learned is letting go, which I'm still learning, but letting go of what to expect and just do the work. And it's once you relinquish yourself and just flow with the river and just go with it, things happen.
Yeah. That whole process of allowing, really being allowing yourself to learn. Like kids, we don't judge our children when they walk and fall down and they're learning to walk. We don't judge them and learning to hold a fork or learn to hold a glass. We show them. We don't judge them. We walk them through the process. We repeatedly show them how to hold the glass, how to take that step, how to hold that fork. And we remove the process of judgment for our children. We need to do that for ourselves too, in our own learning. It doesn't matter what age we are. If we're going to learn something new, to have a non-judgmental allowance for being able to just allow yourself to learn, it makes a huge difference. And like I said, I've watched many, many people over the years who let go of that self-judgment process and soar, because now there's no box that they're in about what is going to be good or bad or right or wrong. They learn from the process. Very exciting work. I'm so glad that we got a chance to have you in the course with us too. And we're starting again in September, or this month. Actually.
Yeah, I'm signed up for all three, the next 3 courses. So it's, again, I just to be part of the energy and just constantly do it. The great thing is that your course is the repeat students is only $99. So for me, that's a no-brainer. That just kind of constantly be part of that energy. It's good. Yeah.
It is amazing. Like I said, we've watched so much. I mean, you've grown immensely, and your contribution to the course has been amazing. For those of you that are watching right now, if you want to know more about Con, first of all, how can people get a hold of you, Con, or some of your groups if they want to get in touch with you and get involved in some of the stuff that you're doing?
Well, the best way is to go to connight.com. And that will redirect you to my YouTube channel. And once you're on the YouTube channel, my contact information and the links and resources of where I am. Now, I was listening to Amanda with you yesterday, and I'm part of the same groups that she's in. Now, these groups are typically invitation only. And, there's a lot of groups out there, but a lot of them are very negative. They talk a certain way. The invitation happens when you're high vibe. So to get yourself past the negative talk and talking about negative things, it takes, this is why you have these private Facebook groups, is that so you can contain and maintain the high frequency energy so that people can heal, people can learn to let go. Because that is the second most important thing, is learning to love ourselves, and being in a loving environment that embraces that is how you learn to love yourself as well, outside of doing the work yourself, but having the environment to do that as well. So I'm not just going to invite anybody into these groups, because they are sacred. To be part of that. It's just as much as inviting someone into one of your courses. Not everybody's ready for it. They do have to go through a bit of a process to get here as well. They need to have a bit of awakening. And that's why I created the Intuition Development course on my YouTube channel, which is free, to just kind of give people a very light taste of what it's like and what it could be, at least with some of the meditations, and maybe getting their mindset wrapped a little bit around this. And once they might go through something like that, this is really geared towards something that is an awakening, that's very analytical, that's very new, then they're ready for the course, so that they know that, yeah, you're going to be expected to love yourself, or that it's okay to love yourself. You know, if
Yeah.
you can look in the
Now,
mirror and look in your eyes and say, I love you, and you're going to feel squirmy, but get past that. Okay, now you're ready, right?
and you also do a little work with channeling Eric as well. So I know you've done that too, in addition. How did our courses, because just for those of you that are watching, our courses, we have 3 courses: Mediumship 101 program, which deals with learning the art and practice of connecting to your guides, your angels, other multidimensional beings that are here to work with you and all of us, and learning to tune your awareness into that frequency of consciousness. We also get focused on diet and proper eating to raise your vibration. It's really important to get your body into a high vibrational state to be able to access different frequencies and perceptions of energy. And then we have, of course, the 102 course, where we get into helping you to restructure your mind and your emotional field to work on your behalf. And how would you say that those courses facilitate your ability to channel and connect to your guides and the beings that you work with?
Again, it just a natural process. It opened me up. After taking your courses, it opened me up even more. I listened to my intuition. My intuition told me to, hey, let's do a channeling Eric daily for 36 days. So I did that. Now, this was talking about Eric, my guide. I didn't know about Eric Medhus. I didn't know about Elise Medhus at the time. I had no idea. I was just guided to create this channeling Eric channel. So I did that for 36 days straight. And some people came to me and said, oh, is this Eric Medhus? I was like, who's that? I had no idea, because this world is all quite new to me. So after I started doing it, on the 37th day, so there's 36 of 36 days, we did it. And the 37th day, I did a wrap up. I was contacted by a medium who I hadn't talked to before, but one of the viewers had contacted her and said, you got to check this guy out. So she ended up reaching out to me and said, I channel Eric Medhus, and I have a surprise for you. So she told me prior to that I was actually channeling Eric Medhus the entire time, and he was doing 36 days of pranks, and that's what he called it. It was his way to show the world that it's not just channeling Eric is just a small group of people. The whole channeling Eric movement is quite big, from what I understand, what I've learned since, and it resonates with quite a few people. But it's not just meant for the small pigeonhole. He wants to help all the people. So, and it's still happening now that I've spoken with Elise, and we're going to be doing more in the future now. And she does a lot of the Scalar, the Atlantis Scalar work, where they use portals and they close portals for people. And that is helping people. And that is helping people who are really blocked. But those people, they need to release themselves and allow someone else to do it for them. Well, what Eric has shown me and guided through you, so it was actually Eric that brought me to you, that I understand now, that I can heal myself. So we have the flip side. Eric is using his mom to help people with portal work and the Atlantis Scalar work, to help and close portals and help people there. And that doesn't resonate with me at all, but I honor it. And I still need to understand it more before anything, but it doesn't resonate with me. On this other side is what Eric is guiding me through in my guides, and that is to heal myself and to teach others to heal themselves. So once they're kind of past the rigor removal that's happening on their own mindset, they're ready to begin to know that they can heal themselves. So it's been a fascinating process.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And we are self-healers. I mean, our bodies will do it on its own, but when you get involved in your own healing process, there's a whole other element that you bring into play that can transcend the normal way that things work in time space than what we've been taught to believe.
And this is why I'm such a big proponent of your courses, is because you do have, it's probably the cheapest course that I have out there for 3 weeks, with a daily work every day for 3 weeks. And then you have the 101, the 102, and the 103. It's a natural progression that just as you're learning to walk and learning how to take care of yourself and feed yourself and use the bathroom by yourself, that's a natural progression that you don't even think about. A flower, when it grows, it doesn't think about growing. It just does. So this is what's beautiful about this progression, that you don't even know that you are progressing. All of a sudden, you're just kind of collecting information, you're channeling things, and things are happening to you. It's like, oh, did I do that? And because of the groups now, you're having multiple people that are that are confirming and validating what you're doing. So that you begin to trust yourself from there. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I am doing that. Maybe this isn't malarkey that's actually happening here. This is actually happening. And you begin to trust yourself even more. You begin to trust yourself even more. That's the beauty of taking the courses. And then taking them again, you're then taking another layer off, and another layer of awakening and opening, and another layer of awakening and opening. So I really love the process that goes through there. It's quite effortless.
Yeah, we were very blessed. Our guides and our angels were really clear about the way and the method and the process. It was really important. He said the process is really important because it leads people through their own process of self-discovery, and you're not in the role of being their teacher, or they're learning, they're self-teaching through the lessons of what they're learning. And that's really what life is about, learning through our own experience of learning. I'm really excited. I'm so grateful that we'll be having you work with us in the courses. For anybody who wants to know more about the courses and classes we're talking about, you go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and you can see all the courses and classes. They start August 28th. It's $199 US per person, $99 for our repeat students. We do get a lot of repeat students. That's very beneficial. We have other people who have gone through the course already, because if you're new to the course, you're going to get all kinds of support. That just it's such an incredible, beautiful, intimate, and open environment of learning. And this is what they wanted us to make sure we provided with everybody. And like, again, we have the Ascended Masters come through. People get connected to their guides and their angels, and your life is going to change amazingly. Like, your life's going to go through a huge change if you take these courses. So please consider that. Go to the website and check it out. Again, I'm so grateful that you had this time today, Con. If anybody wanted to get a hold of it, you can do that through connight.com.
Yes.
Okay, I'll place a link. So for those of you watching, I'll place a link for that in the description box below after it's posted on my YouTube channel, so you can get a hold of I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden. Con, and also yesterday, Amanda. And tomorrow night, we're going to be having Jeannie Rabi. She's also a student of our courses and classes that's gone through some amazing changes. And that's really what tomorrow night's going to be about, amazing changes as well. And I got to say, Con, the work you're doing in the groups you're doing and the healing work, the intuitive training, it's amazing. I mean, the light worker community is just expanding so rapidly. And we're all part of this process of this great awakening that's unfolding, this resurrection of the human soul from being stuck in body, mind's old self. We really need to get free of who we've been taught to think we're supposed to be to really create the kind of world that we deserve to experience and live in as a species.
It's quite wonderful to be part of this energy, because you no longer live in fear, and there's a lot of fear happening all around us. So to have this type of work and knowing within us and belief and just a core feeling that you just walk without fear. So that is such a peaceful way to live your life, to not be in fear.
It is. Yeah, living with it. If you're fearless, you're limitless, is something I read. If you are fearless, you are limitless. And it really is true. You know, there's fears we have that the body has naturally, but there's also the unnecessary fears you've been trained from birth. And when you start letting those go, literally, your whole world opens up, and you get past what your five senses are telling you, and you start to access these other realms of consciousness that are saying to you, we're here for you. We are here for you to guide you and assist you, to work with you. They don't think of themselves as better as us. They think of themselves as working alongside of us. Although their knowledge and scope of information might be broader than ours, they don't hold themselves above us. They literally walk with us and come out and experience it. I mean, the meditation part of our program is just probably one of the most exciting. And you learn to literally meditate through our course. By the end of the course, you'll know how to meditate for at least an hour a day. And some of the things that have happened as students in that process, people thought they could never meditate or meditate. People who never thought they could change the way they eat. They've changed the way they eat. And it's an amazing thing. So come and join us, please. And we'd love to see you. And Con, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. And we'll see you in just about a week and a half time from now.
Absolutely. Excited to be there. Thank you for having me, and great to be part of this energy.
It's an honor and a privilege, Con. Take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. And thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, everybody. Much love. And we will see you tomorrow night at 7:30. It's 12:30 my time, because it's 7:30 African time with Janine Rabi. And we'll see you then. It's all